Hi, good evening. There we are. I think I have Dia. Dia, we request to join. Yes, I have Dia. Yes. Dia, hi. Are you there?
Hi,
Hi.
Radhika.
Hi, Hi, Dia. Nice to connect with you.
Pleasure is mine. I'm happy to be joining you on High Tea with Hello.
Hi to you with hello. And thank you for joining us. Let me welcome you and everybody else on this live this evening. Hi, everyone. Hi, friends there. Welcome to another episode of High Tea with Hello. And it's not a take on coffee on Karan, I promise you. For us, high tea means a lot of fun only. Over the last few episodes, we've had some interesting personalities. We've had Sarah Todd, we've had Fashion Mavan, Sunil Sethi, who organizes all the fashion weeks, and they're all up on a feed in case you've missed it. But today is very, very special for us. I have a very special guest, the beautiful and gorgeous Dia Mirza, who's probably really doesn't need any introduction from me. She probably all of you know much more than I could introduce her to. But it's an honor to have you, Dia. Thank you and welcome on joining us in here.
Thank, thank
Uh,
you.
but there are many more credentials to Dia than you must be knowing her only as an actress. Dia Mirza Rekhi is an actor, producer, Goodwill Ambassador, UNEP, UN Secretary General's advocate for the Sustainable Development Goals, the IFAW Global Ambassador, and Dia wears many hats, and I could go on and on and on. But the reason we have you particularly on today is a take on something you are so deeply involved with and you're very passionate about is sustainability and environment. And leading up to the World Environment Day on September 26th, we have you here to share your thoughts, your passion, and the way forward to save the planet. So there we are, Dia. Thank you once again and welcome once again.
Thank you
Friends,
so much.
there's a Q&A session at the end. We leave 5 minutes for answering all your questions, and I'm sure they'll be happy to answer all your queries. So there we get started. They are from winning the beautiful and very coveted title of the Miss Asia Pacific International way back. You became one of the most loved actresses with that girl next door image, with that beautiful smile, which it stays in everybody's heart and eyes. And now you're an active environment active. You're a very active activist. How would you summarize your journey? And at such a young age, how did you suddenly agree, or rather realize you need to transit from the glamorous world of Bollywood to something so different?
Well, Radhika, I think while you ask,
Ruchika,
Ritika, sorry, while you ask,
Ruchika.
Ruchika, I'm so sorry.
Not at all,
Uh,
not at all. Many people get it wrong, but that's fine.
I'm grateful you corrected me because otherwise I would have been saying Radhika through the
Not
conversation
at
and
all.
felt extremely embarrassed later about it. But
Not
thank you.
at all. That's absolutely fine.
Um, I think it's been a very interesting experience. I started off very young. I started working very young, much before I even won the Miss India title. I was working and studying at the same time. And winning the Miss Asia Pacific was like a paradigm shift. It really transformed my life. It opened up great opportunities for me. I was suddenly, getting offers to be an actor, and I had always loved the performing arts. I always wanted to be an artist, but never consciously thought to myself that when I grow up, I want to be an actor. But when these offers started coming along, I said to myself, there are thousands of people who try every day, and here are these opportunities coming my way. I shouldn't, disrespect it. I should try it out. And then when I started acting in film, I discovered a deep love for it. And I was really, really thrown into the thick of things very quickly. and I had to, you know, adapt and learn and grow up overnight, literally, because I moved from my parents' home in Hyderabad to Mumbai. I had to learn to live on my own, run my own house, get myself to work, pay my bills, learn to pay taxes.
Yeah,
It
true.
was quite daunting. But somewhere along the way, in this world of glitz and glamour and crazy work hours and a lot of hard work and sweat, I started to feel restless and lost. I felt like I was losing my identity because a lot of what was happening in my life was driven by other people's choices, very few my own. And there was also a lot of pressure about how to look,
True.
how to, what to do. And some of my films weren't working, so that also put a lot of pressure on me. And I realized that, as a person who had grown up in an environment that was completely free of competition, because I went to a J. Krishnamurti school, and I was taught to only pursue what I truly loved. And while performing for the camera and living stories was something I loved, it was everything else attached to it that made me feel a disconnect with myself. Which is when I was fortunate enough to come in contact with some incredible human beings who I, look up to as mentors even today. One is Mr. Bittu Sehgal, who is the founder of Sanctuary Nature Foundation and one of the greatest spokespersons for the environment and wildlife. And
Yeah.
then I met a gentleman called Mr. Vivek Menon, who was at the time the founder and CEO of Wildlife Trust of India. And I started to work with them on wildlife protection and conservation. And suddenly I felt completely aligned with myself. I felt more alive than I'd felt in a long time. And I recognized very quickly that I'm driven by making a difference. What really makes me feel alive and happy is being able to make a difference. And
Amazing.
how fortunate am I, Ruchika, to be able to act
Absolutely.
in film and then lend my voice to causes that I truly care about. And then along the way, I mean, I guess I also realized while I was working with these people was that they really need us. They need our voice, they need our advocacy, they need for us to understand the crisis that we are confronted by of climate change. And it brought about huge changes and transformations even within my own personal choices in life. And I'm sure we'll talk about that more.
Absolutely. In fact, it's a great awakening. I would say you're looking beautiful today with beautiful skin, and so somber in a beautiful white outfit. So your whole personality reflects that you are environment conscious, and the best part, Dia, probably all of us have seen you in for a long time now, on both sides of the spectrum. You straddle it very well. I mean, you may not be so thick into the glamour world, but you still look glamorous, even in a plain kurta pajama, in a plain suit, or with that beautiful radiant skin. So, was this a conscious call? Were you always consciously environment conscious since childhood, or did this just happen accidentally? Like you said, of course, there's Mr. Your friend was a part of pushing you into it, but sometimes, as a teenager also, you're conscious and all. But did this just happen? A lot of our readers want, I mean, a lot of our guests want to know about that,
No,
so I'm trying to elaborate on that.
so it didn't just happen. I was very fortunate to grow up in an environment that fostered a deep, abiding relationship with nature. I was lucky to live in a home where I could climb trees and watch birds build nests and interact with nature every day. And then I went to a school that was based on the philosophy of J. Krishnamurti,
Oh,
where
nice.
again, we did a lot of our classes outdoors under trees. We had this beautiful hill that we would go bird watching on. So growing up,
With
I guess
nature around you.
nature around me, and also I think what had happened was the alarm bells for climate change started ringing in the year of my birth, which is 1981. And this was a subject of discourse in school very, very regularly. And so much so, and also because it was a J Krishnamurti school, it was also driven from the we were made to understand as children that a lot of what's happening to the environment is driven by our consumption patterns. What we wear, what we use, what we throw, what are the things that we accept and bring into our lives, and in what form does it go back to the earth. We were genuinely asked to seek solutions at home. And I was very lucky because both sets of my parents were very, cared deeply about nature. My mother never brought any plastic bottles into the house. There
Oh,
was never
wow.
storage, containers made of plastic. It was always recycled glass bottles. Um, then, of course, she still talks to her plants, but there was a lot. So basically, what I'm saying is that there was just so much understanding and consciousness that was driven in from a very early age that I am fortunate to have had. And
So
then,
it was
like,
inculcated in you at a
it was
very early age.
inculcated, it was a part of my value system. I understood it fully. But like everyone else, ambition and career and all of that takes over, and sometimes you forget. And like many of us, even I forgot. In fact, I was, deep into the world of that drives consumerism, and
Wow.
and maybe that's why I felt such a conflict in the early phase of my career, because I was like, this is not who I am. Why am I making people do things, or why am I trying to be somebody I'm not? Um, so when I did get the opportunity to engage with these incredible people and organizations, it really took me back home, and it took me back to my core values, which is to understand that we are first primarily citizens of the planet, and our patterns of consumption, our lifestyle, our choices impact everyone everywhere.
Wow. So, to your credit, even though you felt you didn't belong what you did, but you did a fabulous job and you did justice to that, and you're doing even more justice to what you're doing now. We are approaching the World Environment Day. I think the planet is globally becoming very conscious, but we as a breed, I think, are still not that environment friendly. I think environment has been abused very badly by human beings, and especially in the urban cities, with all of us, with the carbon footprint on a terrible rise, there is a huge abuse of it. It's not easy to course correct that. It may take decades and many much more to do. But in a huge landscape like India, Tia, what do you think we as Indians can do to kind of, be more environment or save the environment? There are various. I mean, we throw out so much pollution into the environment. As I'm talking about India, I mean, I'm not talking on the global front. But you, I'm sure, as an advocate, what are your steps you take as an activist?
Oh my God. So there's like 5 questions in that one question. I'm going
I
to
mean,
try.
you can answer it in whatever way you think you want to pick it up first.
Okay, so let me start with acknowledging the fact that India historically and culturally is a country that has always understood the deep connection between human life and the health of the planet, the health of the environment, which is why perhaps we've revered and worshipped our rivers and trees ancestrally. And so much of our architecture is so, I'm talking about indigenous local architecture, is so um, conscious of not just the geography but also the environment. And there are so many influences that if we only tap back into and go back to, I always say that it's time to go back to basics and go back to our roots,
True.
because they offer us all the solutions. And of course, we're in a day and age where technology and such incredible innovation is happening, and young people in the country are really spearheading incredible innovation across the board. We have young people who are converting air pollution into ink, and making tiles out of it and printing t-shirts with it. There are so many companies that are being founded by eco-conscious individuals who really care about the health of the planet and realize and recognize that the human health is dependent on the health of the planet. So when it comes to achieving the sustainable development goals, or it comes to achieving a healthy environment for people in India, I really think that we are and can be par for the course. We have to acknowledge that we are a very large population and we enjoy some of the most beautiful biodiversity on the planet, and we share space with, you know, the world's largest wild tiger population, the world's
True.
largest Asiatic lion population, the world's largest one-horned rhino population. But all of this exists in fragments, and we need to do everything that we can to protect and conserve the existing biodiversity, and of course ensure that we can add and connect these fragmented forests with one another, so that these wild species that we
Yeah, the
go and pick
cycle
up,
has to continue.
yeah, that's one aspect. The other is lifestyle, and this is where a very big part of your question comes in. So one of the big greenhouse gas emitters is domestic um, pollution. It is what the way we are living every day. So what are the products that we are using as cleaning agents? What is the technology that we're bringing into our homes? What are the kind of clothes we're wearing? What is the kind of food we're eating? All of these choices contribute to environmental pollution. And if we can just draw our individual awareness and consciousness towards this pattern of consumption, we can make a big difference. The Prime Minister announced a very important campaign recently called the LIFE campaign, LIFE, where essentially he's calling for all of us to practice conscious consumerism, and,
Yeah.
uh, and learn to live with less, and embrace what is now popularized as a term called circular economy. But the whole use and throw culture is what we're trying to highlight as one of the big contributors to green gas emissions, greenhouse gas emissions. So there is I am very optimistic about the role that India can and should play, and I think India can play a significant part in bringing about lifestyle changes and therefore contributing to the goals overall. I also think that it's so important to walk the talk, Ruchika. I
I
can't
agree.
be
I
telling
agree.
people what to do if I'm not doing it myself. So I know for a fact that every day is a struggle to recognize, you know, our, um, I would say, just, I think, you know, we're all trapped in this age of capitalism and consumerism where somebody is telling us to buy something all the time, and
True.
to be able
Yeah.
to separate yourself from that narrative and say, do I really need this? Is this genuinely healthy and good for me and my family and my home and the planet? um, and how can I
It's a
do better?
conscious call we all need to kind of start
Yes,
observing. And
yes,
I think it has to be a conscious effort. Unless we
absolutely.
consciously try to do it, we all get sucked into this black hole of materialism and nothing is ever enough for all
and
of us.
and use and throw, the culture of use and throw has to go. It just has to go. We have to start taking pride in backing and funding and owning and being a part of organizations or movements or efforts that genuinely care for people and care for the planet.
That's so well said. But I think, like it says, domestic if domestic pollution is the largest contributor, then it all has to start at home. Like it says, start
Yeah,
at home
yeah.
first. We all have to do this. But in this advocacy that you've been doing, what are the challenges you faced? What are the hurdles, and how, I mean, has the government been supportive? Of course, that's a different question, because there's a Ministry of Environment is trying to do a lot right now. If you go to see, they've taken various challenges. I mean, even there are curriculums introduced in school also in environment now. I think that's a very, very positive step that the government has taken. But I'm sure there are challenges. And what are the challenges that you face as an activist today?
I think the biggest challenge is that most people don't walk the talk. Even while there may be campaigns or initiatives launched by the government that are very, very important, there are then things that happen alongside or simultaneously that just baffle you, right? So, if we have signed up the SDGs and we have signed up the Paris Agreement, it means that we are willing to commit ourselves towards sustainability, and we understand the value of those goals and how urgent and important they are for everybody's well-being. But at the same time, we are continuing to, cut down trees in
Yeah.
the name of, infrastructure. There is a lack of alignment or synergy between various agencies. There is so much more coordination that needs to take place. We're continuing to lose forest cover. So there's a lot. There's just, I think the biggest challenge is to keep pushing for change and keep hoping that we can deepen engagement and make just various agencies start communicating with each other. I'll give you a small example. 3 years ago, pre-pandemic, we organized this meeting for the various ministries within the wildlife and forest and climate change, and all of those agencies were actually meeting under one roof for the first time.
Oh, are you serious?
Yeah, so I think a very big part of the problems that we deal with is that various agencies within the government don't really engage with each other, and that needs to start to happen. We need to do things in a more
There
collaborative
needs to be better communication, better engagement, and better
and
interaction.
that would be also true for industries. So there's while there are incredible examples of young people who are really taking charge and not just innovating uh, incredible solutions, but they're also setting up businesses that are walking the talk and are willing to go the distance. And I think all of these efforts need to be supported by the government. There has to be some kind of incentivization that has to help more and more people embrace this way of doing business and this way of life. Like a lot of people complain about how eco-friendly products are more expensive than products that are regularly available. That's because there's no incentive and there is no tax relief for such products. So when we start incentivizing, when we start putting the environment at the forefront and truly walk the talk, we'll see bigger and faster change.
I think that's a very good point you brought up. You need to incentivize and encourage. Another small example of this would be your organic vegetables or any organic food products that you buy. They're far more expensive than the regular grocery products that we buy. And even though a lot of people may want to consume them to save pesticides, insecticides from the environment, you cannot afford them. So I think it has to start at the top and infiltrate down, but each one has to make an effort. Dear,
Absolutely. And honestly, I feel that natural and organic should not be the exception. It
it
should
should
be
be
the
an option. It should not
it
be an
should be
option.
the
Yeah,
norm. It
it
should
should be
be
the
what.
norm. It can't be an option. It should be it.
Because how is it okay for us to be killing ourselves? Because that's what those chemicals and those insecticides and all of that does. It just harms our health. It doesn't just harm the environment, it harms human health. There's a rise in cancer, there's a rise in all kinds of illnesses because of these chemicals and insecticides. It's polluting the air, it's polluting our water, it's polluting our soil. So how is this okay? And why is organic and natural not the norm? So yeah, it's these are hard questions that we need to be asking of each other, and we need to be asking the government. But I always tell people who say that eco-friendly or organic is more expensive, I say compare the cost with the price. So the cost of these products may be slightly higher than what is offered or available in the mainstream market, but the price of consuming those products that are harming the health of the environment and harming human health is much higher. Because when unfortunately we end up ill, we end up spending so much more money trying to get better. because we consumed those things.
Just coming back to your point about consumerism, that we always, our wants are more than our needs, always, as human nature does. And consumerism and materialism is a very, it's very prevalent in our day and life today. Do you think COVID made a difference?
I think it did. I think many of us sat at home for those 2 years and stared at all those hundreds of shoes and clothes and all the things that we had around us and asked ourselves, did we really need all this? And I think what it also did in so many ways is, for me especially, personally, it was a very humbling experience. It really set a lot of things in perspective for me. And I recognized that so much of, my everyday choices pre-pandemic were driven by greed. They weren't driven by need.
Yeah.
And if I can learn to be greedy for good, then maybe I won't feel so, uh, I'll be able to resist temptation better. Let's just say
Well,
that.
yeah, absolutely well said. I'm just going to read out a very interesting comment which has come for you. So one of our friends has said, the fact that you're so unique and have a very different way of thinking is what makes us believe in you. So that's for you. Somebody very sweetly has posted that for you.
Thank
So
you.
I guess so whatever you're doing it pretty well, and you're doing it right. On what there is. Dia, you also have spoken very strongly on women's rights. You believe a lot in women empowerment. What do you think needs to be done to bring about a radical change in the younger generation? Or let me just make it more easy. Do you think the gender bias is diminishing in the younger generation? Do you see it happening, or do you think we have a long way to go on that? The younger generation is more
Well, if you go by
progressive.
data, if you go by hard facts and data, the pandemic has
Domestic
deepened
abuse.
the divide on gender equality.
True.
We have fallen behind decades.
Yeah.
There were
I
more
think
girls who
domestic
dropped out.
abuse was at its highest.
Domestic abuse was at its highest. More girls dropped out of school than ever before. And
Yeah.
more children,
Divorces
girls,
were at its highest as well.
were made a part of the workforce. So there's, if you look at a very small percentage of children who are going to good schools, who are, being educated on whether it's the SDGs or just getting a good education, a quality education, yes, there's definitely a shift. But Ruchika, you and I both know that the gender inequality is so deeply entrenched in our culture, in our mindset, in just the way we live life, that we have a lot of work to do, and we have a long way to go before we can fix that.
True.
But I'm just grateful that more women are recognizing and understanding their rights, and I think social media has a very big role to play in helping women be better informed. And hopefully more and more women will learn to rise and stand up for themselves.
I agree with you. And I also feel, as mothers today, it's our responsibility to bring up. I have a son. So it's my responsibility to make my son realize that there is no gender gap. And I think it, again, like we said, there are various things that start right from home. It's
But
all
your
about
son
the
will imitate what he sees at home.
Absolutely.
He will see that his mother is an empowered, working professional who is kind, who's empathetic. He will see everybody else in the family respecting that, loving that, embracing that, and that is what will really define his values and define his worldview. And I think that as women, when we set the benchmark for ourselves and we empower ourselves, we empower our families, we empower our children,
and empower the planet in return.
Absolutely. And the only way we can bring change is to be the change.
To be the change. That's a very well said, and I think you're doing an incredible job on that. I mean, I as an empowered woman, I'm very proud to see what you do. you kind of are a role model to many. And I think there are many ways that we as privileged people of the society need to give back to society in a way. You know, we've been blessed to be privileged, and I think we have the voice, we have the wherewithal and the resources to give back. And I think that's where you're taking the lead, and we all need to join hands with you, or rather support you in whatever way we can, which probably, you know, starting from Hello, we would like to say that Hello would love to extend a hand to you, and in whatever way we can join hands with you to you know, pass the word on to be more eco-friendly. We'll be happy to extend that support
Thank you
going
so
forward.
much. Thank you for this platform. Thank you for the space and the time. And I hope, like you said, we can continue to collaborate and do more to help educate people. But I just want to end with something that struck me as so amazing. You know, some days you just look around at your life and you look at what's happening and you say a thank you. And I just wanted to tell all the young women out there who are constantly reminded that only when you're young you're beautiful. After a certain age, you know, there's all kinds of horrible stereotypes floating around. I just want you all to know that if you told the 25-year-old me that I would be doing the best work of my life as an artist in my 40s, I wouldn't have believed you. So I think so much of what we are capable of and what we do with our lives is entirely dependent on the choices that we make and how much we are consistent in our efforts to see our vision of our lives through.
Yeah. It's all about choices at the end, like Robert Frost's poem said, The Road Not Taken. It's all about the choices you make in life. And to that, Dia, we raise a toast to you and all the good work you're doing. May you continue to inspire all of us, and may we continue to follow what you're doing. And I think you have a voice which everybody hears. I've read those hundreds of comments which said that, ma'am, tell us what to do. We want to follow you. And of course, those million hearts which are saying, ma'am, I love you, I love you, I love you. uh, are there. But good luck to you. And on the World Environment Day, of course, we do hope that each one of you has heard there is so much more we can all extend our hands to do. Come together, save the planet, give a better life to your generations that had come, and it all starts from each one of us. So thank you, Dia, for your time. Thank you for your valuable advice, and absolute and good luck in whatever you are doing.
Thank
Thank
you.
you everyone for joining us on Hello and High Tea with Hello. And that's what we are going to say. Hello to new beginnings, to a better life, to a better planet, and to everything. And before I end, Dia, I'm just going to ask you one last question. What
So,
are you saying hello to this year?
um, you know, I'm saying hello to something every day because my son's favorite word in the world is hi and hello.
Oh, how sweet.
And
Hi, and
yeah,
how old is
and
he now?
he's 1 year, 2 months old.
Beautiful
And
age.
it is. And he says like the most expectant and sweet highs and hellos to everything. So I think what I'm totally driven by is his sense of wonder and his sense of excitement and love for life.
Absolutely. God bless him. With a mom like you around, of course, he's going to be brought up with fabulous values. But enjoy these. These are beautiful years of growing up. And God bless him. And thank you, Dia. Thank you, everyone, for joining it once again. Do follow us on at Hello Mag India and Dia Mirza Official. You can catch this clip. It will be posted back on our handle. Until we meet again. Thank you, Dia. Good
Thank you.
luck. Bye.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
See you. Lovely connecting with you. Bye,
Same
Dia.
here.
See you.
Thank you.
See you soon. Bye. Bye. Thank you.